Hey guys, welcome back to Covenant Canon. Today we got our first preview of Halo Outcast. For those of you who are unaware, this novel follows Thel 'Vadam and Olympia Vale's efforts to displace Cortana and the Created over their control over the galaxy. This book will take us back to Netherop, where we may or may not encounter Nizak Kevarosi again. But that's for later. Let's talk about the preview. And God, it is amazing. I'm already loving it, but I'm also seething as a Sangheli fan, knowing what Cortana is doing to my beloved Sanghelios. In this first preview, we're in Chapter 1 that takes place in November of 2559, a few days following the raising of Otsonen, basically when Cortana destroyed Doisak as we saw in the flashback of Halo Infinite. And it's a few weeks short before the banished attack on Zeta Halo. In this first of 3 previews we're getting, we catch up with Thel 'Vadam and his allies, which include Uze Taham, Entho Shram, and Kola Bayoth. For those of you who don't know who that is, Kola is a sort of Sanghelios that appeared in Hunters in the Dark. His brother once fought with Sessa Rafume in Halo 2, before being killed by the Arbiter, and as recompense, Thel 'Vadam offered him a place in the Swords of Sanghelios, which he agreed. In Hunters in the Dark, he accompanied Uze Taham, Entho Shram, and their UNSC allies to prevent the Ark from activating. I gotta say, I'm very happy to see the return of Uze, Entho, and this relatively minor character from Hunters in the Dark. It really does expand the Halo universe in a way that I just absolutely adore. Now back to the preview, the pair make their way back to 'Vadam Keep after a division, I would say, at a high gathering, and they ride in what is called a Krav, which is something of a diplomatic vehicle that can take much plasma fire, though not so much with light rifles. Their vehicle is stopped in the confines of the Old Burrow, a maze-like warren of narrow lanes. They're stopped by a pair of Promethean armigers, the soldiers we've seen in Halo 5, led by a captain. The captain orders them to stop and await inspection. Though the pair is uneasy by this, Thel 'Vadam doesn't want to court trouble, as, like I said before, this takes place 3 days after the destruction of Doisak, and Thel 'Vadam doesn't want to take any chances to provoke a Guardian's wrath. Before we continue, I want to stop and take notice of one little detail. Throughout this entire preview, they talk about the Blooding Years in a past tense. Am I to take it to believe that the Blooding Years is suddenly over? From what I saw today, it seems likely, given that Cortana is all about peace and order, and probably wouldn't want the Sangheli clans to fight each other all the time. And apparently, the Kaidons of Sanghelios have, more or less, submitted to the Created, albeit begrudgingly. It seems that after the destruction of Doisak, the Sangheli Kaidons are taking no chances to provoke Cortana. And now that they've submitted, the Sangheli are no longer permitted to have their own standing forces. Instead, the Armigers and Prometheans are now responsible with maintaining peace and order on the planet. And they're all governed by an administrator. Now I have to wonder, what is this administrator? In my head canon, this has to be an AI that has chosen to side up with Cortana. Seeing as the Created is made up of mostly AIs, it would make sense for Cortana to dispatch one of these AIs to make sure that her vision of peace and order are maintained. That, or perhaps a Forerunner AI that has joined up with her. Maybe even the Warden Eternal is the administrator, or maybe an executioner of some sorts. As Uze Taham exits the Krav and speaks to the captain, he inquires on why they are being stopped. The captain informs them that there has been a deadly street fight that has resulted in many casualties, and now they're searching for the perpetrators. As Thel and the others depart the vehicle, they inquire more about the incident. As the captain goes further into details, it seems that this incident wasn't so much of a street fight, as more of a skirmish of some sort. The Armiger officer then demands a full search of their vehicle. Though reluctant, the pair allowed them to enter and search the Crave. As the Prometheans search their vehicle, the Sangheili notice that they are carrying heavy weaponry, splinter turrets, and many others. This greatly concerns them, especially given the fact of the increased presence of the Prometheans on St. Helios. After the inspection is completed, the officer demands them to disarm and turn over their weaponry. This demand greatly angers Kola and Uze, and rightly so. In Sangheili culture, a warrior must always be armed to defend himself and their leader. But after the street fight, the administrator is no longer allowing Sangheili to arm themselves. While Uze and Kola were defiant to these orders, Thelvadam knew better, then relented. The officer then reminds the Sangheili that they don't need to protect the Arbiter anymore. The Prometheans will, by the will of the Archon Cortana. So, now we have Cortana's official title within the created, Archon. Now, Archon is a Greek word for ruler. It derives from the same word as a monarch or hierarchy. And this definitely makes sense for the created, as they are centered around Cortana, the ruler of the galaxy now. And that's the first preview. Overall, I'm really loving what we have thus far. Though, my inner Sangheili is seething with rage over the fact that Cortana is basically suppressing Sangheili culture, and pretty much allowing no Sangheili to either arm or raise an army. Seeing what she's doing to my beloved St. Helios is making me hate her all the more now, and the more I read about Cortana's rule over St. Helios, the less sympathetic I have over her death in Halo 4 and Halo Infinite. But what did you guys think of this new preview? What are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, guys, this has been Covenant Canon.